Today we're taking a look at an Intel Core i9 pre-built CyberpowerPC that's having a little bit of issues. As you can see, it's dusty and definitely needs a deep clean. It's also overheating a little bit. So we're going to take a look at it and see if we can get it fixed. First things first, we want to get as much dust out as we possibly can. So I went ahead and took it in the backyard and used my blower to get the dust out. And here are the specs. It's a HYTE Y60 with an MSI Pro Z690 motherboard. It's got an Intel Core i9 12900K, 64 gigs of DDR4 and RTX 4070 Ti. So it's a pretty powerful machine. And once we were done blowing the dust out, we took it inside, and the first thing I noticed was that the RGB is not working, so I went ahead and double checked that. And the RGB header was not plugged in, so I went ahead and plugged that back in, and that fixed that issue. And the next thing I want to do is run some stress tests just to make sure there's not any overheating issues. And these Intel CPUs do seem to run a little hot anyways, so I noticed that the temperatures were a little bit toasty, so we're just going to go ahead and get everything disassembled, get it fully cleaned up, and see if we can lower the temps. I also noticed during the FirmArk 2 test that the GPU usage was dropping down to 60 or 70%. So it seems like it's hitting a certain temperature threshold and then the performance is just dropping. So the customer did let me know that they do see stuttering in games, so this could be part of the issue. But we'll get the GPU torn down, we'll get it fully cleaned up, get some new thermal paste, new thermal pads, and see if we can get this to more consistent performance. And when I run a stress test just on the CPU, you can see that several performance scores are hitting 100C. And this is a synthetic test, so in real world situations, it may not get this hot, but we still want to kind of reapply thermal paste, just check that everything's working properly, and see if we can lower the temps just to give it a little bit more room for more performance. We're also going to go ahead and get the motherboard on the latest version of the BIOS. And if you have a pin set up with your Microsoft account, you definitely want to remove that before doing a BIOS update. Unfortunately, I didn't do that, but luckily we're going to wipe this drive anyways, so it wasn't a huge issue. So in order to do a full deep clean, I'm going to remove everything out of the PC case. And when I remove the GPU, I actually see that there are two fans in the bottom, so that's good. And when I looked at the filter on the bottom, I definitely missed that when I was blowing everything out outside. But this stuff is pretty caked on, so we're going to have to do a deeper clean on this stuff anyways. But yeah, let's just go through the process, get everything removed, and then we'll go into the cleaning steps. So here's everything laid out, and the power supply is fairly clean, but if we look at the motherboard on the CPU, you can actually see where the CPU cooling plate from the cooler didn't actually make 100% contact, so the top portion is kind of missing some thermal paste. So we're going to have to replace the bracket with a contact frame, which we'll do later in the video, but let's go ahead and get the rest of the stuff removed, and then we'll take it outside and get it cleaned up. Unfortunately, the fans were not easily cleaned with alcohol wipes, so I put those in the ultrasonic cleaner. I'm using my water hose to clean off the bottom fan filter, and I'm also using it to clean out the radiator, being careful not to spray any water on the pump. And then I'm using compressed air to just clean all that stuff out. And then once I take the fans out of the ultrasonic cleaner, I'm also going to use the hose on those just to get any soap off of there. And then we'll go through the rest of the cleaning steps just to show how I fully clean this stuff and make sure all the water is removed. So here's my fan cleaning guide 101, and if you follow these steps, most of the time you won't have any issues at all. A lot of people get worried when you use water in fans because they think it's going to dry out the bearings or it's going to cause some issues, but if you use electrical contact cleaner and then a little bit of WD-40 in the fan hub itself, you should be fine, and I've done this and never had any issues. Now that that process is done and we let everything dry out, we're going to take it back inside and start the process of getting everything back together. But before we do that, I'm just going to get the case fully cleaned up and kind of start the cable management process, and then we'll go ahead and get our components reinstalled and do some testing and see if we get any better results. And before we reinstall the GPU, we're going to go ahead and get it opened up and apply new thermal paste and thermal pads. So let's go through that process now. Here I'm just looking at the thermal pad size to make sure that I get the same exact size and replace that. And we'll go ahead and get those installed and get this back together. Here I'm applying some Kingpin KPX. Next, I went outside and took a little bit of a break. So here I removed the stock Intel bracket and I'm replacing it with a contact frame. You can get these for pretty cheap on Amazon. This is a Thermalright. I think it was under 10 bucks. And we'll go ahead and get that installed, get thermal paste applied, and then we can get our CPU cooler back in place and keep going on getting this wrapped up. So before we can get the radiator and the CPU cooler back in, I just wanted to do a little bit of cable management. And I try to keep it to where the customer could work on it if they absolutely needed to. So I am using some zip ties, but I'm trying to keep it where it's easily accessible. So we'll go ahead and get that wrapped up, and then we will move on to the next step. And I got the PC back together, and I'm actually recording this second portion with the games a few days later. So I didn't run the exact same tests, but I did run this in Shadow of the Tomb Raider, looking at hardware monitor just to monitor the temperatures. And everything looked fine, but towards the end of the test, the memory tips were getting above 100C, which is way higher than what it was before. So I have a feeling that I did not use the correct size thermal pads. So what I'm going to do now is open up the GPU again. We'll replace the thermal pads with the correct size, and we'll get this put back together and just kind of do another little double check, and then we should be good to go. And now with the correct thermal pad height, we are getting way better temps. It looks like they're kind of more consistent across the board. The hotspot temp is a little bit concerning, but the weird thing about this Shadow of the Tomb Raider benchmark is that if you leave it on the end screen, it does something weird with the GPU and kind of like overloads it. I'm not really sure what's going on there, but I noticed that it didn't really have any hotspot temperature issues in other games, but I did tell the customer if they have any issues at all, definitely let me know. I can take a look at it again for free and make sure that it's done right. So I want to thank everyone again for watching this video, and let me know what else you want to see. I've got a few other things lined up, and it looks like the Battlefield PC videos were a hit, so I'm definitely going to do more similar things to that. I do have some other pre-built stuff that I'm working on and some other Office PC stuff. So yeah, stay tuned, and thanks again.